In a tiny village nestled between towering mountains and dense forests, there lived a poor girl named Alara. Her small, weathered cottage was filled with the smell of herbs and fresh bread. But the warmth of home was often overshadowed by the struggles she faced. Each day, Alara helped her mother in their meager garden, pulling weeds and tending to the few vegetables that struggled to grow. Despite their hard work, food was often scarce, and they relied on the kindness of neighbors to share their extra harvest. Alara's clothes were patched and worn, but she wore them with pride. If you enjoy this video, please like the video and subscribe for more. And tell me where you are watching from today. I always find it awesome to see where all my viewers are watching from. Let's get back to the video. She had a spirit as bright as the sun, shining through the trees above her. With sparkling brown eyes and hair that danced like autumn leaves in the breeze, she always found a reason to smile, even when times were tough. However, deep inside her heart, a dream flickered like a candle's flame. A wish to escape her humble life and find adventure beyond the village boundaries. Every evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Alara would sit on a large rock at the edge of the forest. From this vantage point, she looked out over the village and imagined what lay beyond the mountains. Tales of magical creatures and faraway lands whispered through her mind, like secrets carried by the wind. She dreamed of meeting someone extraordinary who could take her away from her everyday worries. One night, as twilight painted the sky in shades of purple and gold, Alara decided to venture into the woods. The air was crisp and alive with mysterious sounds. She walked deeper into the trees, feeling excited yet nervous about what she might find. It was then that she stumbled upon an ancient stone castle hidden among thick vines and moss. The castle looked both eerie and enchanting under the moonlight. Curiosity tugged at Alara's heart as she approached its grand doors. They swung open slowly on rusty hinges, revealing a dark hallway adorned with cobwebs and shadowy figures lurking in corners. She hesitated for a moment, but felt an irresistible pull drawing her inside. As she stepped into the castle, she heard soft whispers echoing through its halls. It felt as if time stood still in this forgotten place. Suddenly, out of nowhere, a figure appeared before her. A tall man with piercing eyes that glimmered like stars against his pale skin. He wore an elegant cloak that billowed around him like dark clouds masking a storm. "Who dares enter my domain?" He spoke in a voice that resonated powerfully, yet held an unmistakable gentleness. Alara's heart raced as she realized she was standing before none other than the Vampire King himself. Gathering her courage, Alara stuttered her name while trying to explain why she had come so deep into his territory. To her surprise, rather than lashing out or scaring her away, he listened intently. "What brings you here at such an hour?" he asked with curiosity etched across his majestic features. Alara shared with him tales of her simple life, the struggle to fill their empty plates, and how dreams of adventure kept her going each day. The Vampire King seemed fascinated by her spirit. He leaned closer, as if trying to understand more about this brave girl who dared to wander into his realm. However, nothing could prepare Alara for what happened next. As they talked about dreams and desires, something remarkable caught her attention. A portrait hanging on the wall behind him. In it was a young girl with strikingly similar features, long wavy hair and bright eyes filled with wonder, who looked exactly like Alara herself. Unable to contain herself any longer, Alara blurted out in disbelief, "Why does your daughter look exactly like me?" The question hung in the air between them, like an unspoken challenge. The Vampire King's expression shifted from curiosity to something deeper, an emotion mingled with intrigue and perhaps even sadness. Little did Alara know that this question would lead them both on a journey filled with secrets waiting to be unveiled. Secrets that would change their lives forever. As the moon hung high in the night sky, casting a silver glow over the village, whispers of excitement filled the air. It was an unusual evening, for the villagers had gathered to celebrate the harvest festival, a time of gratitude and joy. Colorful lanterns swayed gently from tree branches, and laughter echoed as children chased each other through the streets. The scent of roasted corn and sweet pastries wafted through the air, creating a magical atmosphere. Alara watched from the edge of the festivities, her heart longing to join in, but held back by her shyness and feelings of inadequacy. She felt like a shadow among vibrant smiles and lively music. Yet, as she gazed upon the celebration, something inside her sparked with hope. Perhaps tonight was meant for more than just watching. Driven by a mix of curiosity and bravery, Alara decided to step closer to the heart of the festival. As she danced around flickering bonfires and listened to stories told by older villagers, she felt a warmth spreading within her chest. For a moment, her struggles faded into the background. She laughed and even joined in a few dances under the starry sky. Suddenly, as if summoned by an unseen force, an eerie hush fell over the crowd. A shadow flickered at the edge of the forest, growing larger with each heartbeat. Alara turned to see what had captured everyone's attention. A tall figure emerged from the trees, cloaked in darkness, with an aura both fearsome and majestic. The Vampire King had arrived. The villagers gasped collectively, their joy replaced with fear as they recognized him. Stories of his power and mystery whispered through every corner of their community like an unsettling breeze. Alara's heart raced, not from fear but intrigue. Despite knowing he was rumored to be dangerous, she felt an unexplainable pull toward him. As he approached, his piercing gaze swept over the crowd like lightning in a storm. The light from the lanterns flickered against his pale skin, giving him an ethereal presence that was hard to ignore. His long cloak flowed behind him like liquid night as he moved closer to where Alara stood. "Why do you cower in shadows?" he asked in a voice that resonated like thunder, yet held a strangely calm note. His eyes bored into hers as if searching for something hidden deep within her soul. Alara found herself captivated by his presence, despite her racing heart. I'm not cowering," she managed to reply softly but defiantly. A smirk twisted on his lips as he stepped closer still, towering over her petite frame. "Then why not join your friends? Do you not wish to celebrate?" Alara hesitated, but then took a deep breath and said what lay heavy on her heart. "I wanted to be brave enough to come here tonight." The Vampire King tilted his head slightly, as if intrigued by her honesty. There was no malice in his gaze, only curiosity mixed with something softer that caught Alara off guard. "Bravery is not measured by size or strength alone," he replied thoughtfully. "It is found in those who dare to seek beyond what is known." As he spoke those words, unexpected courage surged within Alara. It felt as though he understood her dreams without her ever having to voice them aloud. Suddenly caught up in this strange connection, she blurted out a question that had lingered since their fateful meeting. "Why does your daughter look exactly like me?" A change washed over him at her words. His expression flickered between surprise and contemplation before settling into an unreadable mask once more. The tension thickened between them, charged with unspoken secrets waiting to unravel. In that moment, under the silvery moonlight, surrounded by startled villagers and haunting echoes of music in their ears, Alara sensed that this encounter would lead both of them down paths they never imagined possible. A journey entwined with destiny that began with one simple question amidst an extraordinary night filled with wonder. The moonlight filtered softly through the castle windows, illuminating the grand hall where Alara stood, her heart pounding with a mix of excitement and fear. The Vampire King regarded her with an intensity that felt both intimidating and strangely comforting. As she caught her breath, she couldn't shake the question that had bubbled to the surface. Why did his daughter look exactly like her? "Come closer," the Vampire King urged, gesturing toward the portrait hanging on the wall behind him. The painting was breathtaking, depicting a young girl with flowing dark hair and bright eyes that sparkled with mischief. Alara felt as though she were staring into a mirror. It was uncanny. The similarities were striking, the same delicate features, the same smile that danced on the edge of her lips. As she stepped forward, her mind raced with questions. Who was this girl? How could they be so alike? Alara's heart raced, and a mixture of disbelief and wonder washed over her. "Is this your daughter?" she asked hesitantly, pointing at the portrait. "Yes," he replied, his voice steady yet tinged with an emotion Alara couldn't quite place. "Her name is Serafina." Alara's stomach twisted at the mention of the name. It sounded beautiful and ethereal, just like the girl in the painting. "But how can this be?" she stammered, struggling to comprehend what she was seeing. "She looks just like me." A fleeting look of surprise crossed the Vampire King's face before it settled back into its usual calm demeanor. "That resemblance is no mere coincidence," he said quietly, almost as if he were revealing a closely guarded secret. Alara felt a shiver run down her spine. Was it possible that there was more to her story than she had ever known? Questions spun around in her mind, like leaves caught in a whirlwind. What if Serafina was not just a look-alike, but somehow connected to her own life? "Why do we share this likeness?" Alara pressed further, her voice barely above a whisper now. "What does it mean?" The Vampire King studied her for a moment, his piercing gaze searching her face as if trying to read her thoughts. "There are tales in my family's history, stories of souls intertwined across time," he began slowly. "Serafina was born under a rare celestial event, and many believe it marked her as special." Alara listened intently, trying to grasp the weight of his words. "Special how?" His expression grew solemn as he continued. "Some believe she has the power to connect with others who share her essence. Those who bear her likeness may hold a piece of her spirit." Alara's heart raced at his words. Could it be true? Did this mean she was somehow linked to Serafina? The thought sent both excitement and a fear coursing through her veins. What happened to Serafina? Alara asked, feeling an urge to know everything about this girl who could very well be part of her own story. "She vanished many years ago," the Vampire King replied, sadness creeping into his voice. "The circumstances remain unclear, a mystery that has haunted our family ever since." He paused, looking out into the shadows beyond the walls of his castle. "Some say she sought adventure beyond our world. Others believe something darker took her." Alara felt a pang of empathy for Serafina, not only because of their resemblance, but for the loneliness that seemed to shroud her fate. She had spent so much time dreaming of adventure herself, wishing for escape from her mundane life in the village. "Do you think she's still out there?" Alara asked softly. "I hope so," he replied with a hint of vulnerability in his tone. "And perhaps you are meant to find answers about your connection." In that moment, Alara felt as though destiny had woven their paths together in ways she couldn't yet comprehend. The questions about who she truly was began to swirl within her like a storm waiting to break free. "I want to know more," Alara declared boldly, determination igniting within her. "I want to find Serafina and understand why we are connected." The Vampire King nodded slowly, an unreadable expression on his face. "Then you shall have your chance," he said finally, his voice a mix of approval and caution. As they stood together in that grand hall illuminated by moonlight, Alara knew their journey had only just begun. A quest filled with mystery, identity, and perhaps even magic waiting to be discovered. The atmosphere in the grand hall shifted as Alara stood before the Vampire King, the weight of her question hanging heavily between them. His dark eyes were pools of mystery, and for a moment she could see a flicker of something deep within them. A hint of pain, sorrow, and an undercurrent of something darker still. "Why does your daughter look exactly like me?" Alara had asked, unable to help herself. The shock in her voice echoed against the stone walls, but she silently wished she could take back the boldness of her inquiry. The Vampire King's gaze hardened for just a heartbeat before softening again. "That resemblance is no mere coincidence," he replied slowly, each word intentionally weighted. "Our family has long been entangled in shadows that stretch far beyond what you might imagine." Alara's heart quickened. His words intrigued her and set off alarms in her mind. "What do you mean by shadows?" she pressed, eager for more but also wary of what might be revealed. The Vampire King motioned for her to sit on a nearby ornate chair, its fabric rich and deep like the night sky. As she settled in, he began to speak, his voice low and serious. "There have been whispers in my family for generations, stories laden with magic and fate. A secret that binds us to those who bear Serafina's likeness. Like you." "What kind of secret?" Alara felt both excited and fearful, as if she were delving into a forbidden tale that could change everything she thought she knew about herself. He sighed deeply, as though the weight of his family's history pressed heavily upon him. Many years ago, before Serafina was born, a prophecy was etched in the stars, a warning and a promise intertwined. It foretold that those who shared her appearance would possess a spark of her essence, and that connection would lead to powerful revelations. But it came with a price. Alara leaned forward, her curiosity overcoming her caution. "What price?" "The danger of knowing too much," he said gravely. "The dark forces that seek to possess that power will stop at nothing to reclaim it." Alara absorbed his words, her mind racing with possibilities. Could it really be true? Was she somehow linked to this girl who seemed to embody everything she had ever wished for? But along with the excitement came trepidation. If there were dark forces involved, what had she just stepped into? "Serafina was said to be special," he continued. "Born during a rare celestial alignment, she was believed to hold an extraordinary gift, the ability to connect with others who shared her blood or spirit. But when she vanished, many believed it was because she sought to escape the grip of that destiny." He paused as his eyes met hers, and a flicker of fear crossed his features. "The truth is, the very powers that make us extraordinary can also be our undoing." Alara's thoughts spiraled as she considered this information. The Vampire King's daughter was not just a look-alike. Their connection went deeper than mere appearance. Could that be why she felt such an inexplicable bond? Yet, she wondered about the true nature of this power and how it might affect her life. "What can I do?" Alara asked, determination creeping into her voice. "I want to find Serafina, I want to understand this connection. The Vampire King regarded her with renewed intensity. To seek Serafina is to tread a dangerous path, he cautioned, his tone now urgent. But if you wish to uncover the truth of your identity, and perhaps hers as well, you must be prepared for what lies ahead. I am prepared, Alara declared boldly, feeling a surge of strength within her chest. He nodded slowly, a mix of respect and concern evident in his eyes. Then we must unveil the layers of this mystery together. But know this: some secrets are buried deep for good reason. With those words hanging heavy in the air, Alara felt a shift in their dynamic. They were no longer merely vampire and girl, but allies bound by fate in a quest that held profound implications for both their lives. As they stood amid the flickering candlelight of the grand hall, an unshakable sense of purpose enveloped them both. Alara understood that embarking on this journey would challenge everything she thought she knew about herself and the world around her. But alongside that challenge lay the hope of discovery and perhaps even redemption, waiting just beyond the shadows. Alara stood in the grand hall, her heart racing as the weight of her decision settled over her like a heavy cloak. She had never been one to seek adventure or put herself in danger, but the knowledge of her connection to Serafina ignited a fire within her. She could not ignore the pull of destiny that seemed to beckon her forward. I need to find out more, Alara whispered to herself, stealing a glance at the Vampire King, who now regarded her with a mixture of respect and concern. As she left the castle that night, the cool night air wrapped around her like an embrace, energizing her spirit. The village looked different under the moonlight. Shadows danced along familiar paths, and for the first time, they felt full of possibilities rather than limitations. Alara made her way back home, determination fueling each step. The next morning dawned bright but bittersweet. With sunlight streaming through her window and illuminating the small room she shared with her mother, Alara felt a sense of urgency. She needed to gather supplies for her journey ahead and prepare for what lay beyond their little village. While she helped her mother with chores around their modest home, a task that felt mundane in comparison to the adventure brewing in her heart, Alara's mind spun with thoughts about Serafina. What trials would she face? Where would she even begin looking for answers? The Vampire King had mentioned dark forces. She could feel their presence even from within the safety of her own home. After finishing their morning tasks, Alara approached her mother with a newfound resolve. I'm going to explore beyond the village today, she announced cautiously. Her mother raised an eyebrow, but remained silent, as if sensing that this was no ordinary request. What do you mean by explore? Alara hesitated but knew she had to be honest. I have questions about my past. About someone who looks like me. Who? Her mother's eyes narrowed slightly as concern creased her brow. The Vampire King's daughter, Alara replied firmly, yet apprehensively. I think there's something special about our connection. Her mother's expression shifted from worry to incredulity. You can't be serious. That man is dangerous. You must stay away from him. I understand your fears, Alara said gently but assertively. But I can't ignore this feeling inside me. I have to find Serafina. It's my only chance to truly understand who I am. With a resigned sigh, Alara's mother relented just enough to allow Alara some freedom. If you must go, she murmured, be careful and return before nightfall. With blessings and warnings echoing in her ears, Alara set off on her journey, equipped with whatever supplies she could gather. A small pouch filled with herbs from their garden for healing, some bread wrapped tightly in cloth for sustenance, and a small dagger for protection, though she hoped it would not come to that. Wandering through the forest toward the mountains where whispers spoke of hidden secrets and ancient magic lay waiting, Ilara felt both thrill and apprehension dance together within her heart. The deeper she traveled into unfamiliar terrain, the more alive everything around her became. The rustling leaves seemed to whisper encouragement, while birds sang sweetly above. Days passed as Ilara traversed dense woods and steep hillsides filled with mystery. Each night brought dreams that swirled with images of Serafina, the girl who resembled her so closely, and cryptic symbols that hinted at something much larger than herself. Finally reaching an old library rumored to hold forgotten knowledge about magical prophecies and lost souls, Ilara stepped inside its dusty halls filled with rows upon rows of ancient texts. As sunlight filtered through broken windows onto worn pages filled with faded ink, excitement coursed through her veins like electricity. Hours turned into days as Ilara pored over books detailing family histories and tales of power intertwined with fate. Each page revealed clues about Serafina's life and potential connections between them both, a tapestry woven through time itself. But amid all these discoveries lurked dangers too. Rumors circulated about dark creatures guarding these secrets fiercely. Whispers echoed cautionary tales warning any who dared tread too closely without knowing what awaited them. Ilara understood then that, while searching for answers was exhilarating and empowering, the path ahead would not be easy nor free from trials that tested both courage and heart alike. Determined now, more than ever before, to uncover every thread connecting herself with Serafina. She braced herself for whatever destiny had in store as she stepped deeper into this world, filled with uncertainties, yet brimming with hope, waiting just beyond the shadows. As Ilara delved deeper into the dusty library, her excitement turned into determination. The musty smell of aged parchment filled her nostrils, and the soft glow of sunlight filtering through the broken windows illuminated countless scrolls and tomes that seemed to whisper secrets of the past. She could hardly contain herself as she began to sift through the stacks, eager to uncover the hidden histories that might reveal the truth about her connection to Serafina. The first book that caught her eye was ornately bound in dark leather, its cover embossed with strange symbols. As she opened it, a cloud of dust rose up and danced in the sunlight. The pages were yellowed and fragile, but Ilara handled them with care. It contained accounts of the Vampire King's lineage, tales of love, loss, and power entwined with fate. One entry spoke of a legendary bond between families fated to intertwine through generations. The Nightshade family of vampires and a long-lost clan of humans known as the Lighthearts. According to the text, the two families had once been allies before darkness tore them apart. The Lighthearts were said to possess a unique connection to magic, a gift that allowed them to commune with spirits and harness energies from the stars. Ilara's heart raced as she read about an ancient prophecy. When shadows fall and light is scarce, the blood of the Lighthearts shall awaken the slumbering power of Serafina. Could it be? Could she be a descendant of this long-forgotten line? Determined to find more clues, Ilara continued searching through the library, her fingers brushing over various books until another caught her attention. It was a journal filled with ramblings from a prior scholar who had dedicated his life to uncovering the mysteries surrounding Serafina's disappearance. Each page was filled with sketches, strange symbols, and fragmented thoughts about celestial events and their connection to magic. One passage stood out. Serafina was destined for greatness, but was burdened by expectations. Her spirit yearned for freedom beyond our realm. The very essence of who she is led her into danger. Ilara felt tears prick at her eyes as she realized that Seraphina's path mirrored her own longing for adventure and understanding. Suddenly, a particular sketch drew Alara's attention. A drawing of a pendant shaped like a crescent moon intertwined with a star. Beneath it was a note. The key to unlocking Seraphina's power lies within this artifact. It is said to be hidden near the place where light meets dark. Her breath quickened. This pendant could be significant, perhaps even tied to her own identity or destiny. If she could find it, maybe it would illuminate not just Seraphina's fate, but also her own. As days passed in the library, Alara uncovered more accounts linking her family history to the Vampire King's lineage. Each discovery peeled back layers of history that connected their fates in ways she never imagined. Her bloodline intertwined with both light and darkness. However, amidst these revelations came warnings etched in ink. The journal mentioned lurking dangers, dark forces seeking artifacts like Seraphina's pendant would stop at nothing to claim them. These entities were remnants of betrayal from long ago, shadows that had haunted both families since they were torn apart. Alara felt both exhilaration and fear grip her heart. She understood now that uncovering these truths would not simply be an adventure. It would be fraught with peril that tested her spirit and resolve. Determined not to turn back now, Alara concluded that the next step in her journey would lead her beyond the confines of this library, into realms unknown, into forests where shadows danced and whispers echoed secrets lost to time. The pendant's location awaited discovery at an intersection where light met dark, leading her toward something greater than herself. With newfound resolve and bolstered by what she had learned, Alara prepared herself for whatever challenges lay ahead. She felt an unbreakable bond with Seraphina growing stronger each day. A shared destiny waiting just beyond the horizon. A journey binding them both in ways that transcended time itself. As she gathered her notes and took one last glance at the ancient texts surrounding her, Alara whispered a promise into the quiet air. "I will find you, Seraphina. I will uncover our past and forge our future." With that declaration echoing in her heart, she stepped out of the library and into the world beyond, a world where secrets awaited to be unveiled. Alara's journey through the library had ignited a spark of determination in her heart. But she knew that to truly uncover the truth about her connection to Seraphina, she needed to meet the girl face to face. As days passed, she felt an irresistible pull toward the castle where the Vampire King resided, believing that forging an actual bond with Seraphina would unlock the secrets they both held. One misty afternoon, Alara mustered her courage and set off toward the castle, her heart racing with anticipation. The towering walls loomed over her like ancient guardians as she approached the grand entrance. The memories of her first encounter with the Vampire King flooded back, but this time she felt a renewed sense of purpose. Upon entering the castle, she was greeted by familiar shadows and echoes that seemed less menacing now. The hallways were adorned with rich tapestries and flickering candles that flickered like stars against the dark stone. Alara was guided by an unseen force, her instinct drawing her to a garden hidden within the castle's grounds. As she stepped into the garden, sunlight broke through the clouds above, illuminating vibrant flowers and lush greenery. It was a sanctuary far removed from her own world, but welcoming nonetheless. And there, amidst this beauty, stood Seraphina. The moment their eyes met, something shifted between them, a recognition far beyond appearance. Seraphina radiated an ethereal quality that captivated Alara instantly. Despite their differences, one being human and the other a vampire princess, they seemed connected on a deeper level. "Hello," Serafina greeted softly, her voice like music echoing in that serene space. "I've been hoping to meet you." Alara could hear curiosity layered beneath her words. "I'm glad we finally have," Alara replied nervously. "I've been searching for you, and answers about why we look so much alike." Serafina nodded knowingly, as if she had anticipated this meeting long before it happened. "I feel it too," she said quietly. "There's something in our connection. Something magical that binds us." With those words, Alara felt a wave of warmth envelop her like sunlight, breaking through clouds after a storm. They began to share stories. Alara spoke of her simple life in the village, the struggles and dreams that often felt just beyond reach, while Serafina revealed snippets of palace life and whispered hints about family legacies filled with both love and burdens. As they conversed, laughter blossomed between them like wildflowers. Each shared experience chipped away at their perceived differences. They discovered commonalities in their yearnings for adventure. Both girls desired freedom beyond what society expected of them. Their hearts mirrored one another's hopes, to find their rightful place in a world fraught with challenges. Amidst their joyful exchange, under the sun-dappled canopy of leaves, Alara found herself inspired by Serafina's spirit. A blend of grace tempered by strength born from hardship. In turn, Serafina admired Alara's unwavering resolve and unyielding courage in seeking out truths others might have shunned. But not everything was light-hearted. Deep beneath their budding friendship lay darker currents. The whispers of danger still lingered around them like storm clouds on the horizon. Before parting that day, they stood facing one another among blooming petals kissed by golden rays of sunlight. There was an unspoken promise exchanged, a willingness to embark on this challenging journey together, despite whatever perils awaited them. "I'll help you find your pendant," Serafina vowed solemnly as she touched Alara's hand gently, an act signaling trust built upon newfound companionship. "And I'll stand by your side as we navigate this path," Alara promised back, feeling hope blossom within their bond, a bridge connecting two very different worlds through friendship and shared destinies. That day marked a turning point for both girls. They forged an alliance deeper than mere chance or coincidence. It signified new beginnings amidst uncertainty, a partnership built on understanding chosen over fear and emboldened by strength drawn from their entwined pasts. Returning to her village later that afternoon with newfound energy pulsing within her veins, Alara embraced excitement at what lay ahead alongside Serafina. The beauty of friendship, blossoming like roses among thorns, strengthening both girls as they prepared to face whatever trials awaited them in pursuit of their intertwined fates. As Alara and Serafina's friendship blossomed, they quickly realized that their bond would face formidable obstacles beyond the shadows of the castle walls. The differences between their worlds posed significant challenges, notably the societal prejudices against vampires that clung to Serafina like a shroud. Tales of fear and mistrust surrounded her kind, echoing in the fears of villagers who had long been haunted by stories of vampires' dark deeds. One afternoon, as they set out on a journey to seek the pendant that could unlock Serafina's powers, they ventured into Alara's village. The streets bustled with vibrant life. Children played, merchants called out offerings, and laughter filled the air. But as they walked hand in hand, their presence drew wary glances. Whispers rippled through the crowd, like waves crashing against rocks. Villagers exchanged cautious looks, clutching their belongings or moving their children closer to them, eyes filled with suspicion. "Stay close to me," Alara urged Serafina quietly, feeling the tension crackle around them. They'll see you as a threat. Serafina nodded, her expression a mixture of hurt and understanding. I've seen this before. It's hard for them to look past my appearance. As they reached the village square, an elderly woman with sharp eyes and a gnarled cane stepped forward, blocking their path. What brings a vampire like you here? She demanded, voice trembling with age yet firm with conviction. Alara felt her heart race as she prepared to defend her friend. She is not here to harm anyone. We're on a quest together, she exclaimed. But her words fell flat against the weight of fear etched in the villagers' hearts. You should know better than to consort with foul creatures, the woman retorted. Serafina's gaze fell to the ground, pain etched across her delicate features. Alara could sense every negative word coiling around them like a tightening noose. This isn't right, Alara said fiercely, her hands clenching into fists. You don't know her. Serafina is kind and brave. But the crowd only grew more hostile. Each accusation stung deeper as Alara witnessed the rejection aimed at Serafina. Leave our village, someone shouted, and soon others echoed in agreement. Let's go, Serafina whispered softly, her voice tinged with despair as she pulled Alara away from their tormentors. They retreated into the forest bordering the village, where sunlight filtered through branches in gentle golden rays. Here, beneath the tree's sheltering embrace, both girls had space to breathe and process what had just happened. I'm sorry, Alara said, tears welling in her eyes. I thought maybe they would see how wonderful you are. It's not your fault, Serafina replied gently, lifting Alara's chin so their eyes met. People often fear what they do not understand. But I wanted them to see you for who you truly are, Alara insisted. Perhaps one day they will, Serafina said thoughtfully. All we can do is be true to ourselves. As days turned into weeks, more trials awaited them. Both girls faced challenges reflecting their own lives. The weight of expectations pressed heavily on Serafina's shoulders within palace walls, while Alara struggled with doubts about her future back home. Alara found herself witnessing even more prejudice against Serafina whenever conversations drifted toward vampires, among villagers, or during visits to nearby towns. Fearful murmurs hung in the air like storm clouds gathering overhead. It was exhausting trying to protect her friend from relentless judgment. At times when doubt crept in, like when they were chased by curious onlookers or confronted by people demanding answers, Alara felt as though she was carrying not just her burdens, but those of her friend too. Despite these difficulties, something profound emerged from each obstacle. Resilience deepened their bond. Moments spent strategizing how best to handle hostility brought laughter amidst tears, while revealing pieces of themselves that would fortify their strength moving forward. They learned how to lean on each other, Serafina sharing wisdom gleaned from royal gatherings to help Alara navigate societal norms, while Alara infused warmth and joy into Serafina's otherwise rigid life hidden behind castle walls. Through shared whispers under starlit skies and countless adventures exploring both realms joined through friendship, they fortified one another against hate that surrounded them. Strengthening resolve neither could have achieved alone, as new obstacles arose, enticing them toward an uncertain future. A future filled with darkness coiled tight around secrets. They faced each challenge together, determined that courage could shine brightly even when society cast shadows upon them both. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow across the world, Alara and Serafina found themselves sitting beneath a sprawling oak tree that had stood for centuries. It was their favorite spot, the last rays of light filtering through the leaves and creating a mosaic of sunlight and shadows around them. They had spent countless afternoons in discussion, laughter, and dreaming of adventures. But today felt different. An air of anticipation charged the atmosphere as they prepared to confront deeper truths about their connection. "Serafina?" Alara began hesitantly, her heart racing. "I've been thinking a lot about everything we've uncovered. The history we share, the prophecy. I can't shake this feeling that there's something even more profound between us." Serafina looked at her with those intense eyes that seemed to hold centuries of wisdom. "I feel it too," she replied softly. "I think our destinies are intertwined in ways we have yet to understand fully." Alara took a deep breath, feeling a surge of determination wash over her. "What if we are meant to do something together?" The library spoke of a bond forged by magic, destined for greatness. She knelt in the grass, gazing intently into Serafina's eyes. "What if our fates were connected by more than just appearance? What if it involves that pendant from your dream, a key to unlocking something significant?" Serafina's eyes widened slightly, her breath catching as she considered Alara's words. "You're right," she whispered after a moment. "The pendant is said to resonate with both our essences." She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small cloth bundle. Within it lay a piece of jewelry shaped like a crescent moon entwined with a star, the very pendant depicted in the sketches they had found. "I didn't realize how important this could be," Serafina murmured as she unwrapped it gently, revealing its delicate gleam in fading light. Taking the pendant into her hands, Alara felt an unexpected warmth radiate from it. It pulsated gently, like the beat of her own heart when she held it close to her chest. "Let's figure out how this connects us," she suggested eagerly. "Maybe we can activate its power together," Serafina responded with renewed hope in her voice. With hands clasped around the pendant, they closed their eyes and focused on their shared energies. Two hearts linked in friendship, but also bound by age-old magic. Moments passed as they breathed together in synchrony, feeling threads of connection tautening around them. Wisps of soft light began weaving through their fingers like sparkling fireflies flitting through darkness. When Alara opened her eyes again, visions flooded her mind. Flashes of ancestral memories filled with laughter and love within lush forests, where both clans had once gathered freely before fear had torn them apart. She saw fleeting images of powerful spells being cast under full moons by women resembling herself and Serafina. They donned flowing dresses adorned with jewels reminiscent of stars. Tears streamed down Alara's face as she felt emotions swell within, the weight and beauty of their intertwined destinies spilling forth like rivers breaking free from once stagnant hearts. "Do you see it?" Serafina asked breathlessly, as she also opened her eyes wide with wonderment evident on her features. "Yes, we're connected," Alara exclaimed, almost trembling with revelation. "Our families, lives, they once thrived together." The realization left them awestruck, but not without fear. Shadows flickered across their vision, even amid newfound enlightenment. A reminder that pursuing truth came at potential cost. "What does this mean for us?" Serafina asked cautiously, yet eagerly. "It means we must reclaim what was lost and heal not only ourselves, but also our legacies," Alara said firmly, through shaky breaths laced with courage. Serafina nodded solemnly, understanding now what awaited them. A journey fueled by magic linked to love transcending time itself. One filled with destiny, waiting just beyond reach, yet closer than ever before. As they sat together under that oak tree, bathed in twilight hues, wrapped around dreams ignited with promise. Their bond had transformed into unwavering purpose, charged by ancient prophecies, waiting years for fulfillment. This confrontation paved the way toward an uncertain future, after unveiling hidden truths entwined closely, like fragile threads awaiting deft hands to weave them into brighter tapestries amid darkness lingering still. It would take more than courage alone. Together, they would summon strength forged within unity, transcending boundaries drawn tight across worlds once kept apart. As Alara and Seraphina stood at the crossroads of their journey, the air was thick with tension and uncertainty. They had uncovered so much about their shared past, but now they faced a critical decision that would shape their futures. The sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows that seemed to echo the weight of the choice before them. In one direction lay the familiar comforts of Alara's village, where she could return to her life, reasserting her role within a community that didn't accept the supernatural. She could choose safety and familiarity, even if it meant suppressing her connection to Seraphina and their shared destiny. In the other direction loomed the dark forest, filled with whispers of danger, but also the promise of discovery and transformation. This path represented embracing their differences as a strength, standing together against societal norms and prejudices that sought to keep them apart. "What if they never accept you?" Alara asked quietly, glancing back toward her village. "What if we face nothing but hostility if we continue this quest?" Seraphina's expression hardened as she looked into Alara's eyes. "But what if we can change their minds? Our bond is powerful. It could show them that love transcends fear." Her voice trembled with conviction. "If we hide from our truth, we deny who we truly are." Alara felt a pang of guilt twist in her stomach. She understood Seraphina's desire for acceptance, for unity between their worlds. Yet doubts lingered like shadows in her mind. "I want to believe that," she admitted hesitantly. "But every time I return home with you, I feel the weight of their distrust." "What if we fail?" "Then we keep trying," Seraphina replied firmly. "We can't let fear dictate our actions. We owe it to ourselves and our families to reclaim our legacies." There was an urgency in her words. Alara could see how much this mission meant to Seraphina. Taking a deep breath, Alara gathered her thoughts and looked around them, nature thrumming with life in vibrant colors under the warm light of dusk. She realized how much had changed since meeting Seraphina. Fear had transformed into courage, doubt into determination. "Maybe facing this fear together is what will prove our strength," Alara said slowly, feeling conviction blossom within her heart. "If we stand united against prejudice and show them who we really are, perhaps they'll see beyond their fears." Seraphina smiled softly at her friend, relief washing over her features. "Yes. If we embrace our differences as part of what makes us strong instead of running away from them, that's how we can inspire others." In that moment, clarity washed over Alara like a refreshing breeze through an open window. A realization that they were not alone in this struggle. Together, they could weave their stories into something greater than themselves. A tapestry rich with acceptance and understanding. Yet even as they made this choice together, understanding that they would face external pressures, they knew dangers loomed ahead. Not just from those who opposed them, but also from darker forces lurking in shadows, eager to exploit fear. "We should be prepared for whatever comes our way," Seraphina warned solemnly as twilight descended around them like an enveloping cloak of night. Alara nodded thoughtfully. Both girls had grown stronger through adversity already faced. But more awaited beyond those trees, shrouded in mystery. With hearts pounding but resolved on forging ahead into the night together, together as allies bound by magic and purpose. They stepped forward confidently toward whatever fate awaited them, standing together at the edge of discovery, held tightly by hands clasped firmly. Their decision became more than just words spoken beneath ancient oaks. It transformed into a vow, echoing through time itself. They would honor each other's differences while standing firm against any obstacle threatening to tear them apart ever again, with newfound resolve lighting up the path before them. Two girls destined for greatness, despite worlds set against them. They ventured forth determinedly ready to confront every challenge that lay ahead on this journey towards embracing their true selves. The forest loomed before Alara and Seraphina, dark and foreboding, as they stepped onto the worn path that snaked between ancient trees. The air was thick with tension, charged with the electricity of their impending confrontation. They knew deep in their hearts that what lay ahead was not just a test of their friendship, but a battle against the very fears and prejudices that had sought to tear them apart. As they ventured deeper into the woods, shadows danced ominously around them, whispering secrets of dark forces lurking just out of sight. These were remnants of betrayal from ages past, forces that had long sought to keep vampires like Seraphina and humans like Alara from ever uniting. But this time, they were not afraid. They carried within them the strength of their bond and a shared purpose. "Keep your eyes open," Alara whispered urgently, scanning the shadows for any sign of danger. "Whatever we face today will try to divide us." Seraphina nodded, her expression serious yet determined. "We stand together. No matter what happens, we fight for each other." Her voice rang with conviction, echoing the promise they made beneath the oak tree. It wasn't long before they reached a clearing where an eerie mist hung low over the ground. In the center stood a figure, cloaked in darkness, a sinister presence radiating malice that sent chills down Alara's spine. The figure was tall and imposing, with glowing red eyes that pierced through the fog like daggers. "Welcome," it hissed mockingly, revealing fangs as sharp as daggers glistening in the dim light. "You dare cross into my domain? Foolish girls." Alara felt her heart race as she stepped forward slightly, driven by instinct to protect Seraphina at all costs. "Who are you?" she demanded fiercely. "I am Malakar," he declared coldly, his voice oozing with contempt. "The one who thrives on fear, the one who shall ensure that your kind never unite." "No more!" Seraphina shouted, finding her courage as she grasped the pendant hanging around her neck tightly. Its warmth coursed through her fingers like a beacon amidst uncertainty. "We will not be silenced or separated." Malakar sneered at their defiance, advancing toward them slowly as shadows twisted around him like snakes ready to strike. "You think magic can save you? Your bond is weak. You are destined to fail." Alara exchanged a glance with Seraphina. An understanding passed between them. This was it. They had to channel their strength together against darkness personified. "Together," Alara whispered fiercely, feeling confidence well up within her alongside Seraphina's unwavering spirit. As Malakar lunged toward them, both girls raised their hands simultaneously. Light emanated from the pendant as it pulsed in response to their determination. A radiant force taking shape around them and slicing through the darkness. "By our shared legacy and truth," Seraphina cried out as streaks of light burst forth from their joined energies, a brilliant wave crashing against Malakar's advancing shadow. "No!" he shrieked as the light enveloped him, pushing back against his dark tendrils, clawing at reality itself in fearsome desperation. Alara felt an overwhelming surge of power course through her veins. The warmth of friendship, igniting courage within her heart, fueled this spell far beyond anything she could have done alone. They stood strong together against his encroaching darkness. But Malakar fought back fiercely. Shadows boiled around him like storm clouds, gathering strength for one last assault toward them, his fury unrelenting even amidst weakening light. "Your connection is nothing. You'll see how easily I can tear you apart," he growled ominously. With eyes locked on one another, Alara and Serafina spoke in unison. "No one can break what we have built. We stand united." This declaration sparked an eruption of brilliant energy cascading outward around them, a shield forged by love, dispelling the shadows, threatening to suffocate their bond entirely. The confrontation culminated in a flash so bright it lit up all corners of the clearing. A moment suspended in time, where past fears crumbled away, facing undying hope rising anew in its place. As Malakar's form disintegrated into wisps of smoke, dissipating into nothingness, silence enveloped them. The echoes of battle fading into recollections, carried off by whispers among leaves overhead, dancing gently on uncertain breezes, breathing heavily but victorious, now standing firmly side by side, as allies bound together through history created anew. They realized their friendship represented far more than individual dreams. Instead, it became emboldened by trials faced head-on, united against external dangers, awaiting any threats poised toward tearing them apart again. In that moment, illuminated by newfound clarity, born from overcoming obstacles together, they resolved not just for themselves, but for those who dared dream beyond limitations, set upon narrow lives, led only by fear. This battle marked merely a beginning, filled with endless possibilities, lingering sweetly on horizons brighter than ever imagined previously. "What do we do now?" Alara asked breathlessly, gazing at Serafina, ready for whatever paths lay ahead. Their journey had only just begun. As the dust settled from their confrontation with Malakar, Alara and Serafina stood in the clearing, a sense of triumph coursing through them. They had overcome not only a formidable enemy, but also the fears that had once threatened to divide them. In the aftermath, they felt a renewed clarity about their paths forward, a realization that their friendship was not just a bond between two girls, but a catalyst for change in their world. Returning to Alara's village after their victory, they were met with mixed reactions. The villagers had heard tales of Malakar's defeat and the bravery displayed by both girls, but skepticism still clung to many of their hearts. As they walked through the familiar streets, whispers followed them like shadows, and Alara felt the weight of doubt pressing down once more. "Will they ever understand?" Serafina asked quietly, sensing Alara's unease. "What if they never accept me?" Alara paused, looking around at the village she had longed to escape, yet always called home. "It won't be easy," she admitted, "but our actions can speak louder than fear." Taking a deep breath, she stepped boldly into the village square, pulling Serafina alongside her. "We'll show them what we can achieve together." With newfound determination, Alara began to share the story of their journey, the trials they had faced, and how their friendship brought strength in times of darkness. She spoke passionately about how love transcends fear and how accepting differences could enrich their community rather than diminish it. Serafina added her voice to Alara's narrative, recounting her own experiences as a vampire princess who longed for connection rather than separation. The townsfolk listened intently. Some were skeptical, while others were curious. Slowly but surely, conversations began to shift from whispers of distrust to discussions about acceptance. Over time, Alara and Serafina organized community gatherings where both humans and vampires could come together, sharing food, stories, and laughter beneath the stars. They created an atmosphere where children could play freely without fear, while adults learned to put aside prejudices and embrace one another's unique qualities. At these gatherings, laughter echoed across the square as families mingled, vampire children using magic tricks to entertain human friends, while human children shared tales of bravery, encouraging even those who had initially hesitated to join in. Within months of tirelessly working toward unity between their worlds, progress was evident. Barriers began to crumble under the weight of understanding forged through kindness and shared experiences. Villagers started opening up about their fears and misconceptions while learning directly from Serafina what it meant to be different yet still belong. Meanwhile, as Serafina integrated herself more into village life, helping tend gardens or sharing stories during twilight hours, Alara discovered her own strength blossoming alongside hers. No longer merely defined by her humble beginnings or dreams for escape, she found purpose in shaping her community into one that embraced diversity instead of shunning it. Together, they became catalysts for transformation, paving new paths founded upon compassion rather than fear. Weaving together lives once perceived as incompatible into rich tapestries celebrating differences that strengthened rather than weakened bonds formed across generations. Yet there were still challenges lurking beneath the surface. A reminder that not everyone would accept such rapid changes without resistance. Some individuals held tightly onto old beliefs, stubbornly refusing to let go, even when confronted with newfound truths. But with each setback came resilience. Every challenge became an opportunity for growth deeper within themselves, fortifying friendships, while fostering hope for others witnessing this evolution unfold right before their eyes. As seasons passed, the warmth of spring blossoming into summer, the bond between Alara and Serafina had grown beyond mere companionship into something profound. A partnership rooted in love, capable of inspiring entire communities far beyond what either girl had ever dreamed possible at first glance. "We did this," Alara said one evening as they watched children play in the dusk light. Vampire kids chasing human friends who giggled delightedly at magic tricks performed before them, under stars twinkling overhead, like promises made anew each day. "Yes," Serafina replied with a smile glowing bright across her face. Warmth radiating from within, reflected back outwards toward everyone gathered around them. And that evening, filled with possibility, lingering sweetly like honeysuckle on warm breezes, drifting softly through open windows, waiting patiently for new stories yet untold. "You know," Alara mused thoughtfully, as twilight deepened around them, gently fading into nightfall's embrace, promising future adventures ahead, waiting patiently just beyond reach. They understood now that together anything was possible. Even changing hearts woven tightly together against all odds. As Alara and Serafina stood together in the village square, the sun dipped low in the sky, casting a warm, golden light over a community that had slowly begun to embrace change. The laughter of children playing echoed around them, a clear sign that acceptance was taking root. But both girls knew their journey was far from over. Alara looked at Serafina, her heart swelling with gratitude and admiration. "I never imagined we could come this far," she said, her voice filled with emotion. "From strangers to allies, and now friends who are changing lives." Serafina smiled softly, brushing a stray hair behind her ear. "We've shown them that it's not our differences that define us, but rather the strength we find in each other. True beauty lies within." Her gaze swept over the gathering villagers, many of whom had once harbored doubts about their friendship. Reflecting on their journey, Alara thought back to the moment they first realized their connection beneath the oak tree. That pivotal understanding had transformed their lives. It had sparked a journey of self-discovery and empowerment. They had faced fears together and conquered not only Malakar, but also the societal prejudices that sought to keep them apart. "Do you remember how scared we were when we first ventured into my village?" Alara mused, her eyes sparkling with memories. "I thought we would be met with hostility forever. And yet," Serafina added, "here we are. I learned so much about bravery from you, Alara. Your strength in the face of doubt inspired me to embrace my own identity as well." They exchanged knowing glances, recognizing how their bond had grown stronger with each challenge faced together. They had learned to honor each other's differences and found joy in celebrating what made them unique. A human girl and a vampire princess united by fate. As they watched the villagers mingling and playing under the now early evening sky, Serafina felt a deep sense of fulfillment. "We've planted seeds of change here," she remarked. "But I realize it's not just about acceptance. It's about understanding and love." Alara nodded thoughtfully. "It's crucial for everyone, humans and vampires alike, to learn from each other's experiences." She paused to take in the scene around her. The sight of laughter uniting children from both worlds reminded her of how far they had come. "Change takes time," she continued, "but every small act of kindness cultivates growth." Their reflections were interrupted by an approach from one of the village elders, an older woman who had once opposed their friendship fiercely. She walked up slowly, but with purpose, her expression softer than before. "I want to apologize," she said, her voice steady yet tinged with vulnerability. "I didn't understand your bond at first. I allowed fear to control my thoughts." The villagers nearby paused to listen attentively. "It took time for me to see that acceptance is not just about tolerating differences, but embracing them." She glanced at Serafina and Alara, her gaze sincere. "Your courage has taught us all something valuable." Alara felt warmth blossom in her chest as she looked at Serafina. They had both anticipated challenges from those who resisted change. But this moment symbolized hope, the beginning of healing for their community. "Thank you," Serafina replied gracefully. "Together, we can continue to foster understanding." With newfound determination lighting their way, Alara and Serafina vowed to expand their efforts beyond the village, to reach out to neighboring communities filled with misconceptions and fear. They would share their story more widely. Stories of friendship forged through adversity, resilience nurtured by love. As days turned into weeks and weeks into months, Alara discovered more about herself than ever before. No longer defined solely by her past or rooted merely in dreams for escape. She found purpose in being a beacon of hope within her community, a bridge between two worlds aiming toward harmony. Serafina also flourished through this shared mission. No longer merely a vampire princess behind castle walls shrouded in expectation and secrecy, she embraced her identity as an advocate for unity, showing others that true beauty comes from within. Together, they celebrated milestones along this ongoing journey. Each act of kindness rippling outward like waves through still water, inspiring others, while igniting sparks of understanding wherever they ventured forth. Standing side by side under starlit skies, filled with possibility lingering sweetly on warm breezes, drifting softly through open windows, their hearts intertwined now more than ever before. They understood together anything was possible. Even changing hearts woven tightly together against all odds. Alara smiled at Serafina as they prepared for new adventures on horizons beckoning with promise. They were not just girls with similar appearances. They were sisters forged through trials, ready to transform their world one heart at a time.